Hi everybody, welcome. This video is going out to both the IRS students and the DPA students. Basically what I want to do is share with you how your courses were put together so that you've got an understanding the way that I look at putting the courses together so that you can leverage that information and learn as much as you can and get the best grade that you can. So here we go. The courses were put together using two models. One is an instructional design model called the 4C-ID model by von Maryboner, and 4C stands for the four-component model. Basically, the four-component model says that you need to identify learning tasks, you need to identify the supporting information that you need for those learning tasks, then you need to allow students a chance to practice what they've learned, and then provide any just-in-time information or current events that may be applicable to the situation. So you will see that applied in the design of both internet research strategies as well as display advertising. Now, the other interesting thing about von Maryboner's design is that it is something that was created for complex processes or technology-driven processes, which we have in both cases. Research is really a process, and display advertising is also a process. You're presented with those process models in each of the classes, and then you're given assignments and information as we break down the different components of the process so that you get proficient in each area, and then we put it all together, and voila, you've got a completed display advertising proposal, or you've got a completed research proposal. So that's how the instructional design model works. Let's talk about the content delivery model. In this case, I used a model created by Chris Bunk. Chris is a higher education thought leader, and his model is called the R2-D2 model. It's a good thing that von Maryboner's wasn't the 3CPO model, or this would just deteriorate into a very bad dark side joke. But I'm not going to go there. I'm just going to tell you that the R2-D2 model is read, reflect, display, and do. And so when you look at your dashboard, you'll see that you basically have a reading assignment, you have a discussion, which is a reflection, then you'll have some videos to watch, the display part, and then also the do part, which is the assignment. And I've tried to be rather diligent with regard to that. Week one has a few more assignments to it. But that's week one, just to get you oriented to the class. And then I really try to stay with four key assignments, or four key things for you to do each week as you progress through the course. Now, the interesting thing with regard to the R2-D2 model is that it's a layered approach. So not only do I use that for content delivery for the course, but then for each component, I can then apply R2-D2 to each component. So if you're doing a discussion, there may be an opportunity for you to read some things, reflect, do some things, and then actually go ahead and write out what your thoughts are. So know that approach has been used both in terms of designing the overall content delivery, but then in each specific component, again, layered in there as well. So that gives you the overview for how your courses were put together. Now, I said that research and display advertising are processes, and we've given you the process, we've given you the overall layout. And by the way, you've got a ton of reading, things that I've created, things that I've found, tons of videos. By the way, week two for display advertising, ask any of the folks in IRS, the Google video that I've got for you in week two is just a fabulous video, and I really think it brings together the picture of technology-enabled creativity. But beyond that, there are gaps. I haven't given you everything. You see, learning is a natural process. We learn by trying to close our knowledge gaps or things that we don't know about. So when, as educators, we force feed you everything, we give you everything that you need to know, you're really not getting a chance to learn. You're not getting a chance to be fully successful. I can teach a lot of different courses in the Internet Marketing Program. I can teach a lot of different courses at Full Sail University in general. You see, that's not my job. That's the role that I happen to have at any given time. My job, I believe, is helping you become as successful as you can possibly be once you graduate. So my focus is all about your success. And I believe that learning how to learn and being accountable for your own behaviors are two of the most important things that I can teach you as a educator, and in order to make you successful once you graduate. Now, I've got to do all the other stuff. I got to make sure that you know about, in this particular case, research strategies, and I got to make sure that you know about display advertising. But that's just the basics. Then what I need to do is make sure that you're successful. So the way that I make sure that you're successful is there are gaps in the content that I've provided for you. You're going to need to find those gaps. Now, truth of the matter is, you can coast through this class, either display advertising or research strategies, and never discover that there's gaps, never even be aware that there's gaps. And guess what? You'll probably do well enough that you'll get a C, maybe even a B. But if you really want to learn, if you really want to put your arms around the content and you want to be a master of the material that you're being provided, you want to be successful, you're going to find those gaps and you're going to go ahead and do the research that you need. Yes, that means researching the research process. That means researching not only about what you want to advertise, but researching the advertising, the display process. So this whole concept is rooted in design principles that are known as the Oz principle. It's a book that was written by Rogers and Connors. So if you want to investigate a little bit further, look up the Oz principle. The Oz principle basically states that there is a line, and there are people that operate above the line, and there are people that operate below the line. My goal for you is that you always are somebody that operates above the line. People that operate above the line are those that are accountable. They are people that see that there's a problem. They decide to own it themselves. Then they go out and they find the solutions. They find a way to close that gap. They make it happen, basically. And the people that are down here, well, we've got a name for them. Those are called victims. Victims, you see, they're unaware, they're unconscious that a problem even exists. But then when they do discover that there's a problem, what do? They blame other people. They make excuses. And then they wait and hope somebody's going to give them what they need in order to fix it. I want you to think about, and the sad fact is, there's probably been a time where we've all been in a victim mode. The trick is to learn from that and move forward. And for students, a lot of times you see this as it relates to learning teams or study groups, where you've got a group project that has to be done. And somebody in the group is not performing. Now, you can blame other people for the grade. You can blame that student for the grade. You can even blame the instructor for the grade. You can make all sorts of excuses that because that person didn't do what they were supposed to, that your grade, the group's grade, suffered as a result. But see, an accountable person takes the opposite extreme. They're not worried about blame. They're worried about the results. They look at it and they say, okay, we've got this issue. We've got the students not performing. How are we going to work around that? And so they identify the problem. They then find a solution. They own it, and then they make it happen. You know, afterwards, we can go back and we can talk about what happened in the study group and what happened with that individual. Was it a one-time problem or was it ongoing? And if it was ongoing, then how are we going to deal with that in the future? And bring the instructor, of course, into that dialogue as well. But this is something this is a way of operating, personal behavior, that if you want to be successful in life, you're going to make sure that you're always up top, that you are always an accountable individual, that you're not down here, that you're not a victim, that you're not blaming others and making excuses. You've run into victims all your life, and I guarantee you it leaves a pit in your stomach the way you feel about them. You don't want to be a victim. You want to be accountable. You want to be as successful as possible. And I want you to be as successful as possible. I want you to be an accountable individual. So, if you want to learn more, the book is called The Oz Principle. Rogers and Connors, and it's a great read. It really talks about how you build an organization, how you design an organization in order to gain accountable people. But the premise is that there are two types of people in the world: those above the line and victims that operate below the line. Always be accountable. That's all I got for you. I'll have more for you as the week continues, today and tomorrow. Get back into some actual course content that's specific to DPA or internet research strategies. But until then, I'm John Reneski, and you are going to have a great time this month. Bye now.